Good evening, and thank you for joining us for the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for the City of Hendersonville meeting, September 28th. It's 7 p.m., and it's our scheduled time to begin. And we're going to begin as we typically do. That's with the prayer and the pledge. And asking us to provide the prayer tonight is Alderman Steve Brown. Alderman Brown, please. There you go.
Okay. Bow your heads, please. Father God, we love you. We come before you tonight as humble people, thanking you for your grace and love that you give us each day. Please, Lord, let us never take that for granted. We pray this evening for each one along this board, the ones that are here and the ones that are not here. We pray for the Campbell family. We're struggling a bit physically right now, and all those others that are in our midst and in our circles that are struggling with physical issues. We ask that you'll guide us tonight, Lord, that we make good decisions. We thank you for this great city that we live in and for each and every one of the 61,000 folks here. We'd ask that you'll bless us, help us, and guide us in all we do, and we'll be careful to praise you for it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Alderman Brown, thank you. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. I'm going to ask Annette to call the roll for us. Hold on one second here, Annette. Let's see. We got to do a couple things here in order for you to do that. Annette, go ahead.
Brown.
Here.
Campbell. Collins. Here. Cunningham. Dixon. Here. Edwards.
Here.
Hayes.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Petrelli. Robertson. Skidmore.
Here.
Waters.
Here.
Clary.
Here.
That's none.
Okay, we've got 9. We have a quorum. Need to entertain a motion to accept our agenda. Thank you, Annette. We have a motion from Alderman Hayes to accept our agenda. Second from Alderman Peterson. Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 items on the agenda this evening. Alderman Campbell is ill, and he is a sponsor of item number 2, 2021-32, and he's asked that to be pulled until our next meeting on October the 12th. And I would like to pull the reading of Resolution 2021-37 and put that back on at an appropriate time. Thank you.
So we have a motion to remove those 2 items. I've got a couple other items too, but I feel like we should go ahead and vote on these 2 unless anybody else wants to discuss. So the motion and, we have a motion. We do need a second for that.
I'll second.
We have a second from Alderman Hayes, and that is to remove item 2, which is ordinance 2021-32, and remove item 9, which is resolution 2021-37. Does anybody need?
No, I'm sorry. Okay. I said 2. I meant 6. Both of them are Campbell's. We want to leave 2 in and remove 6.
Okay. So Alderman Hayes, do you accept that change since you were the person? Okay, thank you. So what we're removing are item 6 and item 9. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Anything else, Alderman Brown?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I do need to note that if you look at item 8, that says first reading. In some of your packets, it came out as second reading. It is actually first reading. Also, I want to note that the item before you did not go to committee until tonight. The topic went to committee, and we also have discussed that in multiple committees over time. If there's somebody, when we get to that item, that would like to withdraw it and give it the 2-week delay, I'm fine with that, but I wanted to get to it and give you all that option. That's just something to point out. We don't need to vote on that. Let's see. I would also like to remove approval of minutes of September 14th. There was a change made to those minutes after some people picked up their packet and some people didn't. To avoid confusion, what I'd like to do is before the next meeting, we'll get you the corrected version. Everybody will get those corrected versions. So we would still vote on the minutes from August 10th. Those are fine. What you received Friday afternoon, what everybody received are corrected. But the September 14th, not everybody received the correct ones until someone had gone out. So I'm going to make a motion that we remove item B under minutes. So we would only vote on August 10th. We would not vote on September 14th.
I'll second.
And I appreciate that. Alderman Hayes with a second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor of removing item B under minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passed unanimously. Thank you. Also like to make a note about item number 3. We're going to have an amendment there that that our finance director is going to explain. So we need to remove that from the consent agenda. So what we'll do is we will do consent agenda, then item 3. And do we need to take a vote on this? Is that just without objection that we can?
Why don't you say that objection?
Okay, so without any objection, which is typically the way we will handle consent agenda items, without objection, we are going to consider item 3 separately, not as part of the consent agenda, after we consider the consent agenda. Okay. One other thing, I will do my best when we have electronic voting to read the results. I failed to do that 2 weeks ago. When we first started doing electronic voting, I felt it was important that people who are not here, that could not see the screen up there, that I read those results. Failed to do that, and that's what created some of the confusion of why we've got to remove the second item on the minutes. I will do my best, and please, if I fail to list how everybody voted after an electronic vote, please knock me on the head or throw something at me. Okay. So, what we've done is we've amended our agenda by removing item B under minutes, by moving item 3 on the consent agenda to be considered separately, by removing item 6 and removing item 9, and we're also acknowledging that we have 2 items that did not technically comply with the 2-week delay. Any questions on that? As amended, all those in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Thank you. I know that was confusing. I know that took some effort to follow along. I appreciate that very much. Now we have proclamation. I'm going to read the first one here, and then I'm going to go down the podium for the second. The first one marks the 234th year. This is the anniversary of our Constitution of the United States, which was written by the Constitutional Convention. Whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize the magnificent creation and anniversary of this document and commemorate the occasion, and whereas the Daughters of the American Revolution promote the principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes, and whereas the Daughters of the American Revolution fulfill DAR's mission to promote historic preservation, education, and patriotism, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States. Now, therefore, I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee, do proclaim September 17th through 23rd, 2021, is Constitution Week, and I urge all citizens of Hendersonville to affirm the ideals and framers of the Constitution embraced in 1787. I had the opportunity to present this to a couple members of the Daughters of the American Revolution, one of whom is Nancy Gilley, and did that a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to make sure that the board got to understand what an important week that was, 17th through 23rd. The next item we have, Julie, can you join me, please? So Julie often joins me in comes to our meetings, and specifically there are times, usually in February and March, I think it is, when we have Senior Citizens Month. This is a little bit different, and it's a little bit more specific, and it's a little bit more fitting that we have Julie White with us. Whereas each September, the National Council on Aging and the National Institute of Senior Centers celebrate National Senior Center Month, and whereas instead of providing a theme for this year's Senior Center Month, the 2 organizations encourage each community to celebrate all seniors and reflect on ways to not only look forward but also to remain observant of the present, and whereas approximately 16.5% of the population in Tennessee and throughout the United States are age 65 and older, and whereas senior centers offer care to these individuals by providing educational, nutritional, health, and fitness and recreational opportunities for those valued members of the society, not just the ones 65 and older, but many other ones. Whereas there are nearly 11,000 senior centers across the United States that strive not only to enhance the well-being and quality of life of its participants, but also to improve public perceptions of the senior citizens community. Now, therefore, I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee, do proclaim September 2021 as National Senior Center Month. and I urge all citizens to join me in celebrating the contributions of our senior community and the role the Senior Citizen Center of Hendersonville plays in their care. And here is Julie White, the Executive Director. Thank you so much, Julie. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the Senior Center?
Thank you. Thank you all for this. Of the 11,000 nationwide, we believe that the Hendersonville Senior Center is the best in the nation. And we've come a long way. I've been there for 6 years now, and it seems like it was just yesterday when all this started. I would be very remiss if I did not thank the City of Hendersonville, Mayor Jamie Clary especially, for the grant that we got to beautify the exterior of the building, and that has been finished. Now we are moving on to the parking lot redo and the landscaping, and we're really excited about that. We're working with Keith Free on that. Our seniors love it. We put down a new floor in the building and some paint on the walls, and it's really beautiful. If you haven't been in there lately, you really need to come and visit us. We're at 197 Imperial Boulevard, just up the street from the post office. We have about 1,100 members. They don't all come at one time, thank God, because it would be impossible. But, you know, COVID did a number on all of our businesses, but especially our nonprofits, as you all know. We lost about $70,000 in revenue, and we are working hard to make that up. And we have a lot of great members, many of whom decided to stay home even though we have opened back up because the governor shut us down in March of last year. And we are really working hard to get the word out to all those people that we're fully open now. So please come back and join us for the things that you enjoyed, like playing the cards and not just the exercise classes, but the games and the recreational things that we did. We're also taking trips now. So I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity for this proclamation, Jamie, because senior centers are very, very important to the seniors in our world. And if you don't believe it, just come and see us. Thank you.
Julie, thank you. Next on our agenda, we have citizen comments. We have one person signed up. Speakers must identify themselves by name and address. I'll probably do that for you. Public comment shall be limited to 5 minutes per individual, which time is not transferable to other speakers. All comments are to be directed to the presiding officer, not to aldermen, city staff, or other members of the public. Comments must address issues, not individuals or personalities. Personal attacks shall not be tolerated. Comments may support or oppose particular issues or measures, but the motives of those with differing views shall not be questioned or attacked. Malicious comments will not be allowed. Speeches for or against particular candidates running for public office shall not be allowed. We need to do the minutes. So we will come back to that in just a second. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for August 10th, 2021. We have a motion from Alderman Collins and a second, or was that Alderman Dixon? Sorry. And a second from Alderman Edwards. Thank you. All those in favor of approving the minutes from August 10th, 2021, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're on citizen comments. Pat Collins, Shirrock Road.
Good evening. Pat Collins, 139 Shirrock Road. I'm here again to speak on Ordinance 2021-33, an ordinance establishing a special committee to recommend new boundaries that reflect the federal 2020 census. The result of this census that is taken every 10 years helps to determine trillions of dollars in federal fundings, and everyone in the household is counted. This census determines Hendersonville's fair share for schools, hospital, roads, public works, safety officers, fire departments, with the help of the planning department, where new structures should be built and where in the city. Our community benefits the most. There are more than 100 programs, including Head Start, mental health services, and seniors, etc., that benefit from the census. It is also used to determine the political power of our representation in Congress. Having a committee to represent the citizens of Hendersonville is a good thing. However, the committee should have been transparent from the very beginning by the sponsor. It should have been representation of all 4 ethnic groups by being politically nonpartisan to avoid gerrymandering. I will continue to have faith that in the very near future, Our committees will see representation of the 4 ethnic groups, nonpartisanship, and transparency. On Ordinance 2123, Mr. Chairman Boma, I ask that you vote yea as it is written today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. Next, we have our consent agenda. That is items 1, 2, 4, and 5, which is second and final reading of ordinance 2021-31, second and final reading of ordinance 2021-32, second and final reading of ordinance 2021-36, and resolution 2021-44. It does not include item 3. It's 1, 2, 4, and 5. We have a motion from Alderman Edwards and a second from Alderman Brown. Alderman Peterson.
Didn't we pull item number 2?
That was a little bit confusing. We stated number 2, but it's actually number 6 that we pulled from the agenda. Item number 2 is still on the agenda. It's still part of the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor.
I have that correct. Alderman Brown, is that okay? Any other discussion? All those in favor of those 4 items under the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Did I hear no? Okay, so that, Alderman Peterson, I saw you hit your light. Aye. Okay, thank you. So that passed unanimously unless I'm incorrect. I know we're new at the consent agenda and relatively new electronic voting, but that's, okay, so we can move on. Okay. Next, we have item 3. This is second and final reading of ordinance 2021-35. This is an ordinance amending budget ordinance 2021-22 with respect to the establishment of a new pay plan, amending the job classification list and pay tables. Alderman Brown, can you make a motion for us, please?
So moved.
Okay. Motion from Alderman Brown and a second from Alderman Hayes. Alderman Brown, you had something on this, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead, please.
You light me up. Thank
There you go.
Thought about doing this 2 weeks ago, and I thought about it a little bit more, and so I'm going to put that out there tonight, that I may have been the only one, but I felt like when we passed our budget that we all felt that the 1.3% raise would take place starting July. We didn't do that for whatever reason, so we're at this point now that we're trying to get that started in January correctly, and but I would like to tell you that I think 1.3% is in favor of the employees to start that earlier. I would like to amend this to start in the first pay period in October. We've had a lot of folks work hard the last, not that they don't work hard every day, but they've had a difficult year the last 18 months of getting some things done and have figured out a way to do it. I don't know that anybody's missed a stroke except maybe when it comes down to trash, and that's another subject at another time. But I would like to amend it that this moved to the first pay period in October. Somebody's going to ask, how much is that going to cost? It's going to be about $90,000, according to Mr. Manning, would do that for that period of time. But I think our employees deserve it, so I'll put it out there and give this board an opportunity to vote on that amendment.
We have a motion and a second from Alderman Collins. Alderman Brown, help clarify for me a little bit. If you could look on page 27.
Yes, sir.
Would the way to do this would be at the end of section 1, remove January 1st, 2022, and put take effect with the first pay period of October 2021?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Robert, I'm looking at you to shake your head. Thank you. Okay. So you're not telling us to vote for it, you're just telling us the text is correct. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay.
That is the easiest for our payroll department to do, is the first pay period. So.
Robert, real quick, and feel free to shake your head. Can we have everything ready by the first pay period in October? Okay. Okay, he says yes. Okay. Any other discussion on this? Alderman Peterson.
Mayor, was this pay plan approved in this year's budget?
So, Robert, can you come up here? We're amending the budget, so it wasn't necessarily approved in the budget. We did talk about it back then, am I correct? Okay.
We just didn't set it. It didn't get firmed up in any way.
Can you help us out, Robert?
Sure. So in the budget ordinance, the pay plan is referenced. However, the start date of that is not set. Through budget discussions and through the budget process, it was communicated to all in City Hall, though The fact remains that that language was not within the ordinance, and this is to add that and to clarify for us. That being said, it stands to reason that the board thought it took effect July 1st, since it was not stated otherwise. But the amount of appropriation was to begin January 1st, if that makes sense.
Yes,
Okay.
it does. Thank you.
Alderman Peterson, anything else? Okay, thank you. So what we, if you look at section 1 on page 27, under your number 3 tab, strike January 1st, 2022, and add the first pay period of October 2021. Alderman Collins.
I just want to clarify that the reason I would support this is because we were 6 months late in giving them their COLA because of the uncertainty of our income due to COVID. And so if we don't kind of at least try to make up for that, that becomes cumulative over somebody's career. So I think it's appropriate to move it so it'll be 9 months between this one and the last one, and then 9 months between this one and the next one, and that catches us up with where everybody should have been. And I know it is costing us more money than what we put in the budget originally, but I feel like as an organization, you always should invest in your people. They are the most valuable resource that you have. So it just makes sense to me to do what we have intended to do, which was to give an annual cost of living increase by adjusting the state. That's it.
Okay, Alderman Collins, thank you. Any other discussion on the amendment? We're going to do this electronically. All in favor, please signify by voting by pressing the green button. Those opposed, please press the red one. And we can go ahead and vote now. I'm trying to figure out who's not here or not here. There we go. I think we're good. Okay, so I think we're good, Jason. There we go. Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you all. Now we're back on the main motion.
Thank you all.
Okay, give it just a second. Here we go. Thank you, Jason. Okay, back on the main motion. Anybody wishing to speak on the main motion? We will not do this one electronically. All those in favor of ordinance 2021-35 as amended, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay. Now we have item 6 was removed. We're at item 7. This is second and final reading of ordinance 2021-33. This is an ordinance established a special committee to recommend new ward boundaries that reflect the federal 2020 census. I so move. We have a motion and a second is from Alderman Waters. I need to mention two things. One thing, and then I'm going to make an amendment here. If you look on page, well, on the legislative history, we have an error on there. There's a couple errors on some of the voting. The legislative history really just assists us in record keeping down the road. We will fix that legislative history before we will fix the legislative history after this vote. So there's a couple votes that were incorrect on some amendments there. It doesn't matter. What matters is the enactment part of this ordinance. We will fix that before it is published with the ordinance as it passed. However, we did thank you. Okay. If you look on page 44 in section 5, 2 weeks ago we added a person. However, the text still says that the committee shall consist of 7 members. We added a person, so we've got a conflict there. I am sure that the board intended that 7 no longer be a 7, that it be an 8, and that SEVEM be EIGHT. However, I can't change that. So I need to come back to the board essentially as a housekeeping measure and make a motion that we amend section 5 and remove 7 with EIGHT and the numeral 7 with the numeral 8. I make a motion and a second from Alderman Brown. Any discussion on that? All those in favor of that, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Okay, thank you. So now we're back on the main motion, which is essentially really what we passed 2 weeks ago. Any discussion? All those in favor of second reading of ordinance 2021-33, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Okay, let's do this electronically, please. So, Jason, if you can, all those in favor of second reading of ordinance 2021-33, please press your green button. Those opposed, please press the red one. Okay. We're okay. Okay. So, the screen says 29, but it is, it's 2021-33. That doesn't matter. What we have is we have Alderman Hayes and Alderman Waters voting no, Alderman Dixon, Peterson, Skidmore, Mayor Clary voting yes, Alderman Collins voting no, Alderman Edwards voting yes, and Alderman Brown voting no. So that passes with majority vote. Thank you, Jason. Okay, now we're on the next item on the agenda. This is item 8. This is first reading of ordinance 2021-41. This is an ordinance appropriating funds for improvements to Big Station Camp Boulevard. I so move, and I'm going to turn over to Alderman Skidmore in just a second. And a second from Alderman Hayes. Alderman Skidmore, you all discussed this in Public Works. Do you want to bring up anything now?
Just to let the board know that it was passed unanimously through our committee. I appreciate that, as you all well know, this has been a long, ongoing thing here between some of the municipalities, which I won't name. I'm sure you all know them. But hopefully we've come to an agreement to get this thing corrected, and the people will be happy this thing is resolved. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you. Any other discussion? Alderman Collins.
I just want to say, Mayor, that I appreciate the work that you've done on this, and I'm very happy to see that this road is going to be getting paved soon. I really do appreciate that.
Appreciate that. We still have some hurdles to overcome. We've got the other three entities involved. We're taking a step forward, and we're asking them to do the same. So I appreciate that, Alderman Collins. Alderman Hayes.
Just want to say I also support this fully. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I definitely support getting something done here. Where are we at in the point of discussion with the other entities, county, city, County Gallatin, and the developer, and Rogers Group? There's 4 of them, I guess.
County and Gallatin have moved forward with discussions in committees. Rogers Group, they may or may not be part of this because Southeastern right now isn't likely to hire them to do the work. Southeastern is doing some work out there right now, and it may not be part of what they're doing right now, but they feel confident that they get this done before the asphalt plants close for this season. If we move forward with this, I'm going to talk to Southeastern tomorrow. I'll talk to Gallatin tomorrow. I'll talk to the county tomorrow. Tell them what we did. There's a chance that maybe all 5 entities won't participate. This will be back here in 2 weeks, and we possibly should change what we are appropriating. Possibly not. I don't know how I feel about that. But we've got 2 weeks to sort of see how things go with the other ones. It's a convoluted process.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Brown. All those in favor of first reading ordinance 2021-41, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Item 9 has been withdrawn. Now we're on item 10. This is Resolution 2021-46. This is a resolution to approve a final development plan for Forest Park. Alderman Peterson.
Moved.
A motion from Alderman Peterson and a second from Alderman Waters. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor of Resolution 2021-46, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're on Resolution 2021-48. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign an agreement regarding the Resource Authority of Sumner County. I so moved. A motion from myself and a second from Alderman Waters. We heard the presentation 2 weeks ago. We now have the agreement that that presentation referred to. 2 committees have discussed this. 1 committee has discussed it twice. If you all feel rushed, please let me know. This is a similar situation. We need to let the county know and let Gallatin know that we are moving forward with this. At the end of the day, this is going to provide us with options for our trash and give us the opportunity to spend less to get rid of our garbage. Alderman Brown. Okay.
I just want to ask if our city attorney has perused that document and agrees with everything on it.
I've approved it.
You've approved it, okay. That's pretty close to a yes.
Any other discussion on this? All those in favor of Resolution 2021-48, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you all. Next, we have other agenda items. First, we have a vote on the appointment of Oliver Berry to the Deer Monitoring and Control Committee. Alderman Brown? We have a motion from Alderman Brown, a second from somebody down there on the other side of some glass, Alderman Dixon. All those in favor of approving Oliver Berry to another term on the Deer Monitoring and Control Committee, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we have a vote on the appointment of Jim Flockenseer to the Deer Monitoring and Control Committee. Alderman Dixon? We have a motion and a second from Alderman Hayes. Any discussion on that? All those in favor of appointing Jim Flockenseer to the Deer Monitoring and Control Committee, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have brief committee reports. Chairman Cunningham is not here. Vice Chairman and acting as Chairman, Alderman Collins.
Sorry. Okay, we met today. We favorably recommended ordinance 2021-41, which is an ordinance to appropriate funds for improvements to Big Station Camp Boulevard, which we've already voted on. We favorably recommended resolution 2021-44, a resolution to determine the usage of funds received by the 2021-22 local government grant program previously appropriated within the FY 21-22 budget ordinance. We favorably recommended resolution 2021-48, a resolution recommending the County Commission of Sumner County, Tennessee, the issuance and sale of general obligation bonds for the purpose of funding capital improvements to the facility of the Resource Authority of Sumner County, which also came straight to BOMA. Sales tax is again outperforming last year and our projections. Hotel motel tax is outperforming 2019 and doing better than obviously 2020, but that seems to be getting back to normal and experiencing growth, which is wonderful. We reviewed the stormwater fund report, which everything looked as it should. The inline hockey project update, it looks like we are quite likely to be on schedule for that, financially anyway, and hopefully time-wise, because we already have a tournament scheduled for December. And that's it.
Chairman Collins, thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Skidmore, Public Works Committee.
Yes, sir, thank you. I'll keep this brief. Our meeting was very light. We look forward to having a more heavy load when Alderman Roberson gets back. Much to be done still. But just to let you know, on ordinance 2021-41 we passed, which we've already discussed tonight, and 2021-48 resolution authorizing the mayor to get an agreement with, enter into an agreement with the Resource Authority. We passed that as well. One main thing, I'm going to come back with a more definite on our leaf bag collection update, but our on the dates that are available, we're going to be having, on the first day that it's open, we're going to be having 16 people to go in to get to pick up the leaves and not in the yard, but in your paper sack. We'll have that done. And then on the second day, we'll have 8. So we're expecting when the fall, obviously it's already getting a little cooler now, but when the leaves start turning and they fall on the ground, we'll be there to get them and be sure to have them in paper sacks. That's the main thing, the paper sacks. The other thing is I wanted to let you know that just about everything is done on our paving plan, and we're coming out about $50,000 under budget. So I want to thank the Public Works department and committee that we're once again coming under budget when it comes to road paving. Now our drainage work is going to start up, and I'll be coming with more exciting news about drainage. So that's basically all that I have at this point, but we will be coming back. Oh, and one other thing, how could I forget this? The most important thing is our light synchronization update. I promised you all that I would give one periodically, and the update is TDOT still has it. So we're waiting on them, and I'm sorry, I wish I had better news, but that's why I kind of almost slipped it. But that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Skidmore. We have our Chief of Operations report, Jesse.
Thank you. I'm just going to give a quick update. Start with paving projects that we've just finished. So we've just paved Center Point from Maine to Caldwell and all of Creekwood. And then this week we've prepped Hickory Hills from Shrock to the end of the cul-de-sac, and the paving should come in the next 2 weeks. And then Hillside and Hillside Court are the next planned areas for new pavement. As far as drainage projects go, we just completed 400 feet of ditch and riprap and new pipe on Snug Harbor. And then Berrywood at Cherokee, we're installing 2 new 36-inch pipes under Cherokee for a total of about 400 feet of new drainage pipe. As far as job postings go at the city, we have multiple departments who are recruiting right now. So if you hop on the website, you'll see fire department, public works, and parks. We're all trying to recruit some positions that need to be filled. City engineer, administrative assistant, and special events program supervisor. So if you're watching or you're knowing of someone who is looking for a job, you can go to our website, and that's posted on our website. And then another thing, if we are making an effort to have an easier tool for reporting trash collection issues. So on our website now, we have a fillable PDF form. If you go to the homepage of the website, there's a scrolling newsfeed at the bottom where you can click and report a trash miss. That comes into a repository that we're keeping at the city, and it helps us track trash misses. So if your trash gets missed, please go to the city website, or you can call us as well. And the number here at City Hall to report those misses is 615-822-1016. That's it. Thank you.
Jesse, thank you. You've seen my report that I submitted with the packet on Friday. Any other thing that I really wanted to present to you, I gave you that information in the previous ordinances. So we have a motion to adjourn from Alderman Edwards. We have a second from Alderman Hayes. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no. That's unanimous. Thank you all. Have a good night.